live on HDNet. From Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Liftoff of Discovery.
The final launch of Space Shuttle Discovery on a mission to the International Space Station. This is NASA on HDNet. Now reporting from Cape Canaveral, here's correspondent Greg Dobbs.
Good afternoon from Cape Canaveral, and as you look at Space Shuttle Discovery, the ship is healthy, the weather is picture perfect, but we're going to tell you in a moment about something that could mean the postponement of this launch for at least a day. Right now, in high definition, you can see that Discovery is poised and ready to take her 39th flight, more than any other ship in the shuttle fleet. And even more important today to fans of the Space Shuttle program, Discovery's final flight, which is why as you look at this ship, you have to know that it's a bittersweet moment here at the Kennedy Space Center, not just because it's due to be the last launch of NASA's most traveled and storied ship, but because it really spells the beginning of the end of America's more than 30-year-old space shuttle program. So if we see her launch, you're seeing history. As it happens, this piece of history comes almost 4 months late, as you probably know, after the most complex repairs ever made to the external fuel tank, after they detected some cracks in its structural components, which could have caused big chunks of foam to fly off during liftoff. But finally, Discovery herself, as you can see on your screen, is back on her feet. And we're now just 18 minutes from scheduled liftoff, and the ship is healthy. You could put it, there are no cracks, there are no leaks. Mechanically, electronically, there are no breakdowns. And the weather, when it comes to rain and wind and visibility and lightning clouds, which sometimes are responsible for a last-minute scrub, the weather is picture perfect. But here's the problem. The range, the flight path, right now, only about 2 minutes ago, went red, which means that for the time being, that flight path, where they have to know where the ships are, they have to know where the aircraft are under the flight path of Discovery as she heads for space, right now it is declared no-go. Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Dobbs. And during the original launch window for Discovery, which was almost 4 months ago, early November of last year, they had to postpone 4 times before finally putting it off till today. But everybody's been feeling very, very good. Even yesterday, they were saying there was an 80% chance of acceptable weather. As of this morning, they raised it to 90%, and they never put it at 100 because there can always be something unexpected. So the weather really has been more than encouraging. It's been certain that it would allow the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery. And likewise, the ship has been absolutely perfect. The launch director, actually the mission manager, told us 4 months ago, she said, Discovery's not going out easily. And she did put up a fight. But as I say now, the ship is just fine. There are a couple of cameras focused right now on the upper part of the external fuel tank so that if they spot the same kind of problem they saw 4 months ago where there were these structural cracks, they would stop the countdown and call off the flight yet again. But right now, the crew is on board. The countdown is in a hold right now, and we're going to go to a shot where you'll see the countdown clock, and you'll see that it's standing still in a moment. The countdown right now is at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. This actually is part of the plan. It's a scheduled hold, a last chance to verify all the computer systems, and a chance for all the different launch teams to make sure they're in sync. And it's due to resume. Right now it's 34 minutes after the hour, so the countdown is due to resume in 7 minutes' time, which means in just a few minutes we'll go to the firing room, what some people call launch control, and the launch director will poll his launch teams. There you see the launch director right now, Mike Leinbach. But they're dealing with this range issue. And if they say weather is a go, if they say the ship is a go, if they say the backup abort landing positions are all a go, but the range is a no-go, then they will not go. And then the next question is, when would they be able to go? Apparently, it's some sort of a problem, not with a vehicle in the flight path that's not supposed to be there, but rather with the electronics. And NASA is, if anything, excessively cautious about anything that goes wrong, anything in a primary system of warnings, anything as a backup. There you see a long shot of the launch pad, and you see Space Shuttle Discovery on her tail. The crew is inside. If you can see very well through the starboard side cockpit window, you would see pilot Eric Bowe. And they've been strapped in for about 3 hours now, waiting to go. So with encouraging words about the condition of the ship and the condition of the weather, so it's going to be a big disappointment if they have to stand down, but of course they're not going to take any chances. The countdown, as I say, is due to resume at about 4:41 and 27 seconds to be precise, with liftoff scheduled for 4:50 Eastern Time and 27 seconds. They do have 5 minutes of what you might call wiggle room. The actual launch window lasts for 10 minutes because it's in those 10 minutes they could go from the launch pad 39A here in Florida that you're looking at on your TV screen and reach with a minimum of expenditure of, I'm being told something, no word on the range yet, minimum expenditure of fuel, and reach the International Space Station. So they always go for the optimal moment right in the middle, 4:50 and 27 seconds Eastern Time in this case. But in this particular case, they can still launch for up to 5 minutes after that. So hopefully they can fix the problem. The crew itself that's on board Discovery right now, hoping to go. I'll tell you a little about them. 5 men and 1 woman. No first-time flyers, by the way. There will be no more first-time flyers on any of the last Space Shuttle crews. There's probably going to be a launch of Endeavour in April and Atlantis in June. But we have video as this crew left its quarters about 3.5 hours ago now. And there you see on the right of your screen Steve Lindsay. He's the commander. And we're going to go now to the firing room. We're going to interrupt this because they're starting to pull the launch teams.
Flight is go. Mila.
Milo's go.
STM. STM is go. Safety console.
Safety consoles go.
SPE. SP is go. LRD.
LRD is go.
SRO.
SRO is go.
Copy. Are you go to 5 minutes and hold?
Yes, we are good to go. 5 minutes and hold.
Copy. And CDR.
Discovery is go.
Launch Director NTD.
Yes, sir.
Our launch team is ready to proceed. SRO has concurrence to go to 5 minutes.
Okay, copy all that. I'll do my poll this time. KC Chief Processing Engineer, verify no constraints to launch.
No constraints.
Thank you, Steve. KC Safety and Mission Assurance.
KC Safety and Mission Assurance is go pending resolution of the range issue.
Copy. Payload Launch Manager.
Mike, the Space Station Processing teams go.
Copy. Range Weather.
Weather has no constraints for launch.
Copy, thank you, Kathy. And Ops Manager.
See, Mike, on our side, MMT's in really good shape. The vehicle's looking perfect. Weather's looking great. We'll stand by here and see if the range can resolve their issue, but we are go.
Okay, copy that, and we'll take it on down to 5 and see if we can't get there.
Yeah, it's a good plan, Mike. Let's keep going.
And KC Safety and Mission Assurance.
KC Safety and Mission Assurance.
Let's see, if we get the go from SRO, you're going to be go. Is that a firm? We don't have to re-poll you.
Mike. Yes, we are go.
Right, so we will not re-poll you if we get a go from SRO.
That's affirmative.
Thank you, sir.
Concur.
Is SRO?
Well, as you just heard the launch director say, they're going to take it down to 5, meaning that they will, in all likelihood, resume the count in about 3 minutes' time. So it'll tick down from 9 minutes and counting to 5 minutes and counting, and that is presumably when they will make their final decision about whether to go or no go, depending on whether they can resolve this apparently electronic issue out on the range. And the reason they would take it up to 5 minutes and not right down to the wire is because in those last 5 minutes of the countdown, a lot of automated systems kick in. A lot of automated systems kick in, and they remove the retractor arm, they remove the arm through which the astronauts would evacuate in a last-minute emergency. They remove the cap from the top of the external fuel tank that is a venting valve. And they don't want to go that far if they don't have to, because that actually affects the integrity of the cryogenic super cold liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen inside the space shuttle. So for the time being, while we await the resumption of the count in about a minute and a half time, we'll show you the crew again leaving their quarters about 3.5 hours ago and tell you a little about who they are. And again, there on the right, you see Steve Lindsay. You're hearing the applause of NASA staff outside their quarters. He's flown the shuttle 4 times before, twice on Discovery. 4 of the others on the crew have only flown once, but 2 of them logged major time in the space station. Actually, the last 2 you can see closest to the camera right now, Mike Barrett and Nicole Stott. Mike's in 2009 spent more than half a year in space on board the space station. 5 of the 6 are married. They have 14 children between them. The age range is from the pilot Eric Bowe at 45 to Mike Barrett, who is 51. And they're a smart bunch. All 6 have master's degrees, some more than one. And one last little fact some of you in the military might appreciate: Air Force rules on this flight. Both the commander and the pilot, as well as mission specialist Al Drew, all graduated from the United States Air Force Academy. Another interesting thing about this crew, by the way, whether they launched today or not, it's fair to say that back when they started training together, and that means 5 out of the 6, because mission specialist Tim Copra only 6 or 7 weeks ago hurt his hip, apparently broke it in a bike accident. He was replaced just 5 weeks ago by another mission specialist named Steve Bowen. Back when they started training together, though, the rest of them more than a year ago, they expected it to be their last flight ever. Not just theirs, but the last shuttle flight ever. But then the payload on a mission that was due to precede theirs, Endeavour, needed a major overhaul, so that flight got pushed back. And now it's due for April, and that's why Discovery today is no longer the last. But still, it is Discovery's last, which is why back in Houston, when the crew was training for the mission, I sat down and talked with them all and asked the commander, Steve Lindsay, about his own feelings taking this ship, along with pilot Eric Bowe, on her final flight. And Steve Lindsay admitted that it's a special time. He's flown twice on Discovery, and here he is.
We're the last ones to fly. It was this team and what they did.
Fair enough, but the fact remains, you're going to be sitting in the left front seat for the last launch ever of the most historic orbiter in history, and you're going to be the last guy to land it. That must have some emotional component in your mind.
It does. It does. I mean, it'll be my 3rd flight on Discovery. I know that vehicle really well, and it will be. I think it'll be very bittersweet when we do. We'll stop on that and get out of there for the last time. So it is meaningful to me to get a chance to be a part of it and do that last flight. I can't deny that.
Now, I referred in the early part of this broadcast to the fact that Steve Lindsay will command NASA's most traveled and most storied ship. So now as you look at her out there on Launch Pad 39A, and that camera is just behind me, this is the position from which we can see it, about 3 miles from the launch pad. Let me tell you why I say that about Space Shuttle Discovery. First, because she has 38 flights under her belt, more than any other orbiter. This last will be her 39th. She's been round our planet, listen to this, more than 5,600 times. She's flown nearly 143 million miles. 12 times she's been to the International Space Station, and she has spent in space altogether a total of 351 days. That's almost a full year. Once she lifts off, whether it is today or tomorrow or any time in the future, she will have carried almost 250 astronauts to space. Discovery was the first orbiter to fly with a courageous crew of astronauts after the Challenger accident, and again, the first to fly after Columbia. What you're looking at right now is the arm through which the astronauts got into the orbiter, now rotating away a little more than 45 degrees. You see a bit of the outer perimeter of the launch pad in the background, and there again a live shot of Space Shuttle Discovery sitting on the pad, and they, along with everybody else, are waiting for the point when we get to T-minus 5 minutes. We're right now at T-minus 6 minutes and 40 seconds to find out whether they can or cannot launch because of this range issue. Discovery was also the last shuttle, by the way, to visit the old Russian space station Mir, and it was Discovery in 1990 that put the super successful Hubble Space Telescope into orbit. And, I mean, she's done everything that a space shuttle was designed to do. She carried then senior citizen, former astronaut John Glenn into space again, and she was the first shuttle ever to be piloted by a woman or commanded by an African American. So it's fair to say that Space Shuttle Discovery has been around. We can only hope in about a minute's time we find out she's going to go around again today. But as you look at her out there alive on the launch pad, keep this in mind about Discovery and the other orbiters. They are a unique and remarkable breed of spacecraft. They lift off like rockets, they land like airplanes, but for a variety of reasons, a spacecraft like this probably won't ever be built again.
5 minutes, 40 seconds and counting.
5 minutes and 40 seconds and counting, but at the 5-minute mark, remember, they can go on hold for up to another, at the 5-minute mark, another 4 minutes and 59 seconds and still blast off. They would expend a little more fuel making their way to the International Space Station, but they could do it. And that's why they have a launch window 10 minutes long rather than 1 second long. We're going to listen in now.
T-minus 5 minutes, 4 seconds and counting.
Countdown clock is holding at T-minus 5 minutes due to manual request.
Countdown clock is holding here.
5-year will troubleshoot our Eastern Range Central Command reporting system issue.
2 minutes and 48 seconds of hold time remain in today's launch window of Space Shuttle Discovery.
That is the longtime launch director here at the Kennedy Space Center, Mike
Today's launch
Lineback.
window expires in 2 minutes, 28 seconds.
And into the CGLS, we did get an indication that the range safety did throw their hold switch. That's affirmative.
All systems are go with the exception of the Eastern Range. And they continue to troubleshoot a problem with their Central Command system display. Two minutes remaining in the hold today. 2 minutes remaining in our launch window.
SRO and TD final recommendation, please.
Standby 1.
NASA Test Director Steve Payne checking with the Eastern Range on their status to pick up the count. We have 1 minute 30 seconds remaining in our window today.
A very tense time on a day when, while some people would not have wanted to jinx this thing, everybody would have said, we're going.
Ops manager on 212.
Go ahead.
I got verbal confirmation from the 45th Wing Commander, we are go, and we do not need SROs go, so I would like you to proceed.
Copy that. NTD with that verification that range will support today's launch. You need to press on. Pick up the clock on your mark.
Copy that. And SRO and TD, need to put this your hold switch to proceed position.
40 seconds remaining in our launch window. Range is go.
GLS, has the SRO hold been removed?
Negative, sir.
SRO and TD. NTD, I can remove the hold here at the 5,000.
SRO on 212.
So needed to put your hold switch in proceed position.
Hold fire on proceed.
Please see GLS, can you verify?
GLS verified.
15 seconds remaining in our hold.
And this is why they build holds into the countdown.
GLS, pick up the clock on your mark. GLS, copy. 3, 2, 1, mark. T-minus 5 minutes.
T-minus 5 minutes and counting.
TLT, OTC, before ATU start.
I must tell you, I don't know if you can hear them through my microphone, but all the people you can see there gathered around the countdown clock about 3 miles west of the launch pad just cheered when they heard it was a go on loudspeakers, hearing the same thing you're hearing on your TVs. So we're only...
All systems are go and weather is green.
Weather is green and the range is green. It wasn't just half an hour ago. The target of the Space Shuttle, by the way, when she goes, will be the International Space Station, which will be above the South Pacific at the moment of launch. And she'll catch up with the station Saturday afternoon. It's about a 45-hour chase. She orbits the Earth roughly 30 times before she catches the station and then stays docked for at least 7 full days. She's not carrying a module that was originally planned for the station. Maybe after launch we'll be able to show you. This changed our timeline a little bit, of course, not to mention NASA's. But she's carrying what used to be a cargo container named Leonardo, which will now be permanently attached. It's been to to the station. It's been modified, given shielding against space debris, given extra installation, given ventilation and heat and light, and it will be sort of a storage closet. Nicole Stott, one of the astronauts sitting on top of the shuttle right now, she told me in Houston a couple of months ago, it's the extra closet we need up there in space. And they're carrying a humanoid dexterous robot. We expect about 20 minutes after launch to have its twin right here at our HDNet set at the Kennedy Space Center, and we'll be able then to tell you more about this human dexterous robot that will become the first permanent resident on the International Space Station.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting. Final pressurization of the external tank's liquid oxygen tank is underway.
For ET-LO2 pressurization.
I'll give you just a few things
we're completing purge of the shuttle main engines.
To watch for. 6.6 seconds, not 6, not 7, but 6.6 seconds before liftoff, the engines are going to emit sparks to burn off toxic gases, explosive gases, just to ensure all the engines are up to 100% thrust at the time of liftoff. About 60 seconds into the flight, she's already going, just a minute into the flight, 1,000 miles per hour. The pressure on the spacecraft more than 700 pounds per square foot.
The cap is slowly being retracted away from the top of the external tank.
Close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
Copy on work.
So now we'll just all listen in together
Conductor
for
John
the last
Paxton
couple of minutes for the
pilot Eric
launch
Bowe clear the caution and warning memory system
of Space Shuttle Discovery. Her last.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting.
GLS is go for ET-LH2 pressurization.
Liquid hydrogen replenish on the external tank is being terminated as planned. T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds and counting. All systems are go. About 90 seconds away from the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery on her final mission. T-minus 1 minute, 10 seconds and counting. The liquid hydrogen tank inside the external tank is now at the proper flight pressure. T-minus 1 minute and counting. The ground launch sequencer will verify that the 3 main engines are ready to start. The booster joint heaters are being deactivated at this time. T-minus 48 seconds and we're transferring to orbiter internal power. Discovery is now running on its 3 onboard fuel cells. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start at T-minus 31 seconds.
GLS is go for auto sequence start.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. Discovery's onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. 20 seconds. The sound suppression water system
15.
has been activated, protecting Discovery and the launch pad from acoustical energy waves.
GLS is go for main engine start.
Go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery. A tribute to the dedication, hard work, and pride of America's Space Shuttle team. The shuttle has cleared the tower.
Discovery roll program.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
This is Mission Control Houston. The Space Shuttle now rolling over onto its back for the 8.5-minute ride into orbit. Discovery now making one last reach for the stars. Discovery's engines are now throttling down as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum pressure, reducing the stress on the shuttle as it goes supersonic.
Discovery Houston, you are go at throttle up. We'll
Commander Steve Lindsay acknowledging the call from Capcom Charlie Hoba as Discovery's 3 main engines throttle back up. Lindsay is joined on the flight deck by pilot Eric Bowen, mission specialist Al Drew, and Nicole Stott. Mission specialist Mike Barrett and Steve Bowen. Discovery's 3 main engines are burning fuel at a rate that would drain an average swimming pool in about 25 seconds. The engines combined with the solid rocket boosters produce more than 7 million pounds of thrust. 1 minute, 50 seconds into the flight, we're standing by for separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. Discovery now traveling 2,695 miles an hour. Its altitude 24 miles. Downrange from the Kennedy Space Center 29 miles. Booster separation confirmed. Discovery's guidance is now converging as the shuttle's onboard computers fine-tune the flight. Two minutes, 25 seconds into the flight, Discovery traveling 3,189 miles an hour. Its altitude 37 miles, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center 53 miles.
Astronauts who have flown uphill on the shuttle will tell you that the roughest, most chaotic, noisiest, most vibrating part of the flight is now behind them.
Tal, we do have updates to your no-com mode boundaries, and we did launch late into pane 1, our only pane.
Those solid rocket boosters, by the way, this camera is on the external fuel tank, and there you see the curvature of the Earth as Space Shuttle Discovery rises above the state of Florida and above the Atlantic Ocean on our way to space.
2-engine Tal and ready to copy.
Pinto, you're press to ATO 11.9, press to MECO 15.
But we're going to show you something in a moment that few people have actually seen. The solid rocket boosters that you saw separate a little more than a minute ago from the shuttle, they have their own cameras, but unlike the camera you're looking at right now on the external fuel tank that beams pictures live throughout the ascent, these cameras don't. They're only retrieved. They stay with the solid rocket boosters. They're retrieved when the boosters hit the water, and only after that can we see what they saw. But that's what we've got from the last shuttle flight, STS-132, and it's a unique and spectacular view of what they call SRB separation. So I think we have that video ready. There it is. That's from the last shuttle launch. You see the launch pad receding. You see the port side wing of the orbiter and the body of the orbiter, the upper left part of the screen. And now she's rolling onto her back. That's what you saw happen with Discovery just 3.5 minutes ago. And this is on one of the solid rocket boosters, which are the main propulsion for the first 2 minutes and 5 seconds of the flight. You can't turn them off. Once they light that fuel, they go for 2 minutes and 5 seconds. There's separation. You see the other booster there on your left side of the screen. And there's the curvature of the Earth. And that's the space shuttle, that little flame already separating. These boosters keep rising after separation another 12 miles with that kind of propulsion before they fall. That is the deployment of one of the 3 huge parachutes, because these things fall back to the Atlantic. There are ships pre-positioned to retrieve them, and then they are recycled. The only part of the space shuttle that's not recycled, of course, is the external fuel tank. But they have a burn rate, those solid rocket boosters, of 5 tons per second. The gas is poured out of them at more than 6,000 miles per hour, which is several times as fast as a rifle bullet. It's an absolutely remarkable thing that they do. In a moment, we're going to show you a replay of Space Shuttle Discovery as we launched, but as a matter of fact, in a minute, I'm going to be joined by astronaut Bobby Satcher, who has flown on Space Shuttle, I think, Endeavour, and he flew most recently in 2009, and we'll have a chance, as they are about halfway to space already, a little more than halfway to space, to find out precisely what's going through the mind of an astronaut as they are traveling at this incredible rate of speed right now, about 7,500 miles per hour, racing towards space. They're still strapped into their seats, and we're going to see that launch again. Space Shuttle Discovery, 2 minutes and 48 seconds late, but on our way. There she rolls onto her backside. Before you see Bobby Satcher, I'm going to ask him to explain why does it roll over on its backside. It's a very important part of the flight.
Yeah, it's just because the orientation of the launch pad is 180 degrees out of the orientation necessary for the spacecraft. So, you know, it rolls over.
It rolls over and stays that way.
Yeah.
Do you feel it? Do you feel the blood rush into your head, or are there too many other forces?
You don't really feel the roll. I mean, you're aware of it, but it's slow enough to where it doesn't really grab your attention. It's the thing that you're really feeling when you come off the pad is the SRBs, and you know, that goes for that first 2 minutes, and once those come off, and you know, you hear a bunch of clanking, and then, you know, boom, and the SRBs are off, and the ride gets a lot less shaky and a little bit quieter. It's, you know, the surprising thing to me was it wasn't really all that loud. It wasn't as loud as I expected it to be.
Louder behind it than inside it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now we're coming up, I have to turn around to see the countdown clock. We're only about a minute from MECO, main engine cutoff. In this last minute, do the astronauts on board Discovery have any function to perform, or are they just enjoying the ride?
For the most part, if it's a normal day, like today is appearing to be a normal day, there's not a lot for you to do outside of monitoring, you know, where you are and how the engines are performing. And that's, you know, the primary responsibility of the commander and the pilot, with the MS-2 backing them up. You know, they're monitoring all the systems of the spacecraft to just ensure that everything's going as expected. You can still, you know, within the last minute, if there needs to be an abort, that can be done. You usually have to abort to, you know, to orbit, so you'd have to orbit the Earth at least once before coming back.
Now we're about to see main engine cut off. In separation, you see the hull of the orbiter on the top of your screen, the external fuel tank on the bottom, that's holding the camera. We'll just watch it. It's coming up any moment now. Do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah, it's unforgettable. You know, up until that point, the shuttle engines are firing, and you're accelerating at almost 3 Gs. So you're being pushed back in your seat continuously from the time you left the ground. The acceleration increases after the SRBs come off. So you know, when you hit MECO, all of a sudden the acceleration's gone and you're floating. So
I know in the very last minute before you reach space, the acceleration amounts to something like 3,500 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is. So what are they doing now? They are now in space. They have no external propulsion. Right away, do people get out of their seats? They have to take pictures out the windows?
Yeah, they have to hustle up. Really, you got to, as soon as you hit MECO, there's one person who's responsible for photographing the fuel tank, see if any foam came off or whatnot. And so, you know, they're already out of their seat and positioned so that you can see the fuel tank as it's floating off. And you know, everybody else on the mid deck comes out of their seat, and the first thing you want to do, of course, is go and take a look outside. Yeah. And that's what everybody does, comes up and has a glance just to enjoy that moment of reaching orbit safely.
I cannot imagine that somebody wouldn't do that first.
Right.
Let me ask you a few big picture questions, and I know you have to wing your way right away back to Houston, so we just got you for a couple of more minutes. But the bigger picture, the last flight of Discovery, the biggest workhorse, the most traveled workhorse of the whole space shuttle fleet, the oldest of the 3 orbiters. What's the feeling amongst the astronauts, the people who actually put their lives in its care?
Well, I think it's the end of an era. We're coming to the end of the shuttle era, but it's a necessary transition, and we understand that. If you look at NASA's history, it's filled with transitions between each of the major programs, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. We had transitions between each one so that we could go on to bigger and better things. And I think that's what we feel right now, that we're going on to bigger and better things.
So is it bittersweet? Is it nostalgic? Is it excitement? What?
Well, I think it's all those things together, but probably the dominant feeling, at least, and I can speak for myself personally, is one of pride. I think, you know, the shuttle era, we accomplished a lot of things that the nation can really be proud of. I mean, we built the International Space Station, which is an absolutely spectacular achievement. We have people on orbit continuously now. We've had that for the last 10 years, and that's going to continue. And that'll, you know, provides a platform with which we can, you know, mature a lot of the technologies we'll need to go beyond, to go to Mars and places beyond.
Let me ask you one more question. Again, I'm mindful of the time, and we've kept you a little overboard. As we look at a replay of the launch, which happened just 12 minutes ago, when you watch a shuttle launch, and you yourself have had that experience, are you nervous on the behalf of the people inside? Are you excited for them? What?
I think I'm more excited than anything else.
Even though everybody's mindful of two that didn't come home.
Of course. I mean, you know, the only other place I'd rather be besides watching a launch like this is on board the shuttle.
So what do you think when you look at that picture right now?
I think, you know, they are very, very lucky and very fortunate, and I know they're really excited and happy to be there, and you know, I wish them well. Wish I could be there with them.
Well, I wish you well. Dr. Bobby Satcher, I didn't get a chance to give you much of an introduction, but this man has taught and practiced medicine and then just decided to become an astronaut.
Well, thanks. It's great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, too.
Right.
Have a good flight back to Houston. Some people don't even realize that as you watch another replay of the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery, this happened just short of 13 minutes ago, and it was 2 minutes and 48 seconds late, which means they've got to push a little harder to get to the International Space Station, their destination. But they are carrying altogether about 14 tons in Earth weight, which is now all weightless, but about 14 tons of mainly of supplies, and that's one of the reasons why they want to fly as many more shuttle missions as possible. The Space Shuttle payload bay carries 7 times the volume of any of the Japanese or the Russian or the European cargo capsules that make frequent visits. And as a matter of fact, there's an interesting phenomenon that we may just see in a few days' time. Right now, or I should say when the Space Shuttle docks, there will be all 3 of those other nations' cargo vessels docked to different modules of the International Space Station. We call this, by the way, Rising from the Phoenix, this particular camera shot of Space Shuttle Discovery. But all 3 of them will be there, and there's a possibility, and they're not going to decide for a few more days, but a possibility that 3 of the space station crew will get into the Soyuz, the Russian Soyuz evacuation capsule, and they will maneuver their way away from the space station to see it with the 3 cargo capsules and the space shuttle all attached. And that will be the photo op of the century. Here, by the way, is an historical milestone. When Discovery docks with the International Space Station, it'll become the largest mass that has ever been in space between the station and the orbiter and something called the Permanent Multipurpose Module, which weighs 5 tons empty, and it's not empty, and the Express Logistics Carrier, which is another piece that they're going to be attaching to the exterior part of the space station, sort of a storage shed from which they can retrieve things when they need them on spacewalks from the station. There will be more than 1 million pounds in orbit. And there has never been so much. It's by far the most ingenious and now the heaviest, soon to be the heaviest spacecraft in history. And maybe here's a more remarkable fact about the space station itself. It has traveled about 1.5 billion miles around our little planet. Now Space Shuttle Discovery is about to join the station. Discovery, by the way, is a proud name. This ship that is now on her way to the International Space Station is named after 2 earthbound ships of centuries ago. In the 1600s, Henry Hudson, you know Hudson Bay? Henry Hudson was looking for the Northwest Passage. He didn't find it, as you know, but he was sailing in the good ship Discovery. And then Captain Cook sailed 2 ships, one of which was named Discovery, and of course, many tourists would be happy to know that he's the guy who discovered the Hawaiian Islands. Now, it's going to the space station, and of course, every time there's a new mission to the space station, it takes on a different appearance, because in this case, one last module, that storage closet named Leonardo, will be attached. But we're going to show you what the space station looked like the last time a space shuttle approached. It is spread out, and you can see it there. It's a plane bigger than a football field. Something on the order of 200 people have gone up there. 15 nations have contributed modules and hardware to the station. More than 600 experiments have been conducted on board. And as I told you, there's a chance that a much more spectacular picture than that will soon be taken. They're not making the decision until Russia, which of course controls the Soyuz capsule, decides that it makes sense to take this risk, and everything they do up there is risky, but they decide that it's worth taking the risk to put 3 crew members, including one American. As a matter of fact, the brother of astronaut Mark Kelly, whose wife was the congressman shot in Tucson, his brother is there right now. His brother's name is Scott. They are, by the way, identical twins, but Scott would be one of the 3 crew members to maneuver away from the space station, take photographs of the station with the shuttle and 3 other nations' cargo vessels attached. One thing to tell you, and it's one of the less important, but nevertheless it's significant byproducts of the shooting in Tucson last month. Scott Kelly is the astronaut on board right now. They are identical twins, identical down to the mustache. Their mannerisms, their voices, their faces, everything is identical. They were hoping to be together because, as you probably know, Congresswoman Gifford's husband has decided he will go ahead and command Endeavour due to launch in April. He was hoping that his brother would still be there. Endeavour was supposed to go now. Instead, now it's delayed. He was hoping they would be there, and Scott told me that they were going to play some tricks on the rest of the crew, the space station crew and the space shuttle crew, because they are virtually indistinguishable. But that won't happen now because Mark is leaving in about 3 weeks. Scott, I'm sorry, is lazy. They're indistinguishable to me. He's leaving in about 3 weeks. He's coming down on Soyuz. He will land in Kazakhstan, and he won't still be there in April when Endeavour arrives under the command of his brother, Mark Kelly. Okay, we're going to look at another replay of Space Shuttle Discovery as she rose toward the heavens. This was now, as you can see in the countdown clock behind me, almost 19 minutes ago. By the way, those of you who tweet, those of you who are using Twitter may want to know that the female astronaut on board that ship right now, Nicole Stott, she will be sending mission updates to her Twitter account, which is @astro_Nicole, @astro_Nicole. That's Nicole. It's another interesting little factoid about the crew on board Discovery right now. Traditionally, they are awakened by music that has been selected either by the astronaut him or herself or by family and friends. And they select songs that are beamed up to the shuttle each morning to awaken the crew. But this time, for the first time, the public actually helped choose the songs that would be used to awaken the astronauts. The people who participated in the general public were given the list of the top 40 previous wake-up songs, and the 2 with the most votes are going to be used this week. Now we're going to show you something we actually intended to show you before the launch, but of course, because of the problem with the range, we were engaged with other things. But we're going to show you how it looked when the 6 astronauts on board that ship got on board the ship, and this was now more than 4 hours ago, as they boarded in what's called the White Room. That's the commander, Steve Lindsay. He's the most experienced astronaut. He's flown 4 times before, twice as pilot, twice as commander, and 2 of those flights were on Discovery. He's 50 years old. There you see him getting strapped into the commander's seat on the left side. He's from Arcadia, California, 3 children. He's a skier, a scuba diver, a windsurfer, a mountain biker, a dirt biker, and a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. The second to board was Michael Barrett. He's a medical doctor. He's flown just once, but boy, it was a doozy. He was in the International Space Station in 2009 for 197 days. Do the math, that's more than half a year. He's the oldest man on the crew, 51 years old. He's cleaning his glasses. You know, he spent so much time in space. Just another day at the office for Mike Barrett. Pilot Eric Bowe. He's flown once before. He's a colonel in the United States Air Force, also an Air Force Academy graduate, the youngest man on the crew at age 46. Born in Miami, grew up in Atlanta. There you see him getting into his seat. He's a combat pilot. He flew 55 combat missions over Iraq. Now here's the new member of the crew. Only 5 weeks ago, he was assigned to replace the crew member Tim Copra, who broke his hip in a bike accident, Steve Bowen. And the reason they chose him is because he was on the last flight. And he did a total of 34.5 hours on spacewalks. On the last 2 flights he's taken, he's the first astronaut ever to fly on 2 consecutive flights. This is the 133rd flight of a shuttle. He's the first person ever to go on 2 consecutive flights. Steve Bowen. And let's see, who's that? Nicole Stott. Nicole also spent a long time, 87 days on the space station. She did a spacewalk from the station. She's 47 years old. She's married, has 1 child. She's a skier, a scuba diver. These are all very active people. She's also a woodworker, a painter, a gardener. She's a rated pilot. And she spent 18 days underwater in an undersea research habitat, sort of a planning session for lunar missions. And then finally, yes, that's Al Drew. Al Drew is a colonel in the Air Force, another Air Force Academy graduate. He's going to do spacewalks for the first time. He's 48 years old. He's an Air Force Academy graduate, a combat rescue helicopter pilot who's worked over Panama, the Persian Gulf, northern Iraq. He was also the director of space operations, I think it was about 2 years ago, at the Yuri Gagarin Space Center in Star City, Russia, which is the equivalent of the Johnson Space Center in Houston. And I met Al Drew there. He was the guy who said something to me about the space program and the differences between the different safety cultures in the 2 space programs, American and Russian. And the way he characterized it was very simple. He said, in the United States, if there's a sharp stick, then somebody will put a label on it saying, don't poke yourself in the eye with this stick. He said in Russia, they just assume that people are not going to poke themselves in the eye with the stick. We're going to show you another replay because every one of these is spectacular. The only thing you cannot do when you see the replay is feel what we could feel here on the set just 3 miles away, which is that the entire platform in which I was sitting was vibrating. It was vibrating, and the sound, while not deafening, was the sound of about 1 million firecrackers. But the shock waves are very, very strong. They were even stronger with the Saturn rocket that carried Apollo into space. I had the privilege of seeing a couple of those, but this is strong enough, plenty strong enough. When it takes off, it has more than 7 million pounds of thrust. So we're going to see another replay right now of Space Shuttle Discovery, and we hope after that to have a visitor, namely that humanoid dexterous robot about which I told you more than half an hour ago. As you watch this, consider these statistics. This vehicle you see rising from a dead stop is as tall as an 18 or 19-story building. She weighs slightly more than 4.5 million pounds at launch. That's mainly fuel, and yet up she goes. She accelerates from 0 to 17,500 miles per hour in just 8.5 minutes time. As many times as I've seen it, I still can't quite get over how remarkable and powerful it is. As I said earlier, there's unlikely to be a chance that there will ever again be a spacecraft quite like this that launches like a rocket and lands like an airplane, because since the Columbia disaster, when a piece of foam from the external fuel tank peeled off and doomed the orbiter, NASA has been determined never again to put human beings below the very top of a rocket lifting off. Now the main engines, they are remarkable, but that's not what I wanted to tell you about, because I'm told that we're about to go off the air. So let me get organized here for a moment as we watch. Take a shot of the launch pad there for a moment, would you? As you watch the launch pad, because I've got the times of docking and landing, and I basically lost it all. So we'll simply tell you that they are due to dock Saturday early afternoon Eastern Time. That would still be morning on the West Coast. They will spend 7 days attached to the space station unless they do that Soyuz fly around, in which case it will be 8 days. And so they will land only about 5 minutes from where they took off here at the Kennedy Space Center, weather permitting, just past noon Eastern Time on March 7th or a little before noon on March 8th. So good luck to the NASA astronauts. Good luck to everybody at NASA here on the ground. And if you can say thank you to a spaceship, thank you to Space Shuttle Discovery for helping advance the cause of America and the cause of man in space. On behalf of all of us at HDNet, I'm Greg Dobbs. Have a good afternoon, a good evening, a good night.